I would like to welcome you all on this afternoon. My name is Nadine Tope, and I'm currently holding the position of Business Development and Trade Lead on the Trade and Investment Facilitation Project. And I will be your Master of Ceremony for today's event. Before we start, I would like to ask you kindly to keep your microphone and camera muted and turned off, since it is an informative launching, and for any inquiries, we will be more than happy to answer your emails. And also, please take note that this session will be recorded. On the other hand, I would like to thank you all for taking the time to attend the virtual launch of the Trade and Investment Facilitation Project that is funded by the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. It is a great honor to have Her Excellency Ambassador Dorothy Shea joining us today, along with USAID Lebanon Mission Director, Mary Eileen Devitt. First and foremost, we hope that you and your loved ones are staying safe and healthy during these unusual times. Ever since the pandemic has imposed physical distancing on us, we are grateful for technology that allowed us to come together virtually as a community. In the midst of a crippling financial and economic crisis, a global pandemic, and a devastating explosion, the Trade and Investment Facilitation, which is a 5-year project, comes to light to offer support to Lebanese businesses in high-impact and productive export sectors. During this launching event, you will get introduced to USAID's newest project, as well as the scope of its work. But please take note that our program will be short and expected to close around 4:30. Before we begin, we would like to thank the US government through the US Embassy and USAID for their continuous assistance to Lebanon in its revival efforts, especially through the $70 million TIF project that will eventually contribute to the recovery of Lebanon's economy. Now, we are delighted to start with Her Excellency, Ambassador Dorothy Shea remarks. Ambassador Shea grew up in Virginia in a family that has a tradition of public service. Following this tradition, she served in a number of diplomatic missions, including most recently the Deputy Chief of Mission to the US Embassy in Cairo, Egypt. And in the course of her career, she also received several superior and meritorious honorary awards. Your Excellency, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Nadine. And good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Is the sound okay?
Yes, it is okay. Please go ahead.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to participate in the launch of USAID's Trade and Investment Facilitation, TIF, program, which showcases the US government's robust, ongoing support for the Lebanese people and private sector. And Nadine, I want to thank you for your words welcoming that support as well, and just give you all my commitment that you can count on us going forward. We're in this for the long haul. But thank you all for joining us virtually to celebrate this particular initiative and for our ongoing cooperation. So we all know Lebanon is facing unprecedented challenges from the ongoing financial and economic crisis, the detrimental effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, both of which are having a severe impact on the Lebanese people. For this reason, USAID is focusing its assistance on economic growth and job creation and income generation in Lebanon. USAID has a strong record of supporting economic initiatives, including partnerships with more than 270 enterprises, leveraging more than $40 million in private sector investments, and creating nearly 2,000 jobs over the past 3 years alone. I'm particularly proud to note that women represented 42% of the beneficiaries from these activities. But we all know, too, there's still much work to be done. In 2020, Lebanon's ranking in the Doing Business 2020, comparing business regulation in 190 economies, a report published annually by the World Bank Group, Lebanon's ranking has fallen to 143 out of 190 countries. The IMF, meanwhile, estimated that the GDP contracted 25% in 2020. So Lebanon needs to reverse these disturbing trends. And one way to do so is through boosting the private sector. So the US government has consistently recognized the valuable role of Lebanon's dynamic private sector, and this is going to be central to an eventual economic recovery. Now more than ever, in the face of this less than attractive business climate, compounded by the pandemic and the tragic port blast of the 4th of August, the private sector needs to help, and it needs help. Private businesses are facing tremendous difficulties, and Lebanon needs extensive reforms to improve its business climate, instill confidence, and open doors to new investments. So this is where today's Trade and Investment Facilitation program steps in, providing $70 million worth of assistance over several years with the goal of enabling the private sector to stabilize, adapt, and get on a path to new growth and expansion as the country passes forward with much needed reforms. TIF will work to improve the competitiveness of key productive sectors, enhance exports of Lebanese goods and services, generate much needed foreign exchange, and support the resilience and growth of local enterprises, consonant with desperately needed governmental reforms. The program will also help enterprises mobilize financing and facilitate investments in key sectors, and will assist whenever possible in finding creative solutions for enterprises that high-quality Lebanese products attract demand from new and existing markets. In short, TIF will improve the business and investment environment, support the private sector in identifying critical barriers to trade, export, and investment, and build private sector capacity to effectively advocate for reforms. Now, we should make no mistake that this assistance is no substitute for what is ultimately going to be needed to unleash the full dynamism of Lebanon's private sector. I'm talking about meaningful reforms to bring back and attract that much needed private sector and overseas investment. I'm talking about doing things that are necessary to restore prosperity, as this is the realistic hope that the suffering Lebanese people hold dear. TIF is meant to help the Lebanese private sector at a particularly difficult time, but the real job lies with the Lebanese government, the Lebanese parliament, and all Lebanese political leaders, so that they can together undertake the political reforms that are going to be necessary to put the economy back on track and to create an environment conducive to domestic and foreign investment. As the United States and the donor community continue with humanitarian and security assistance and programs for civil society and private sector during this crisis, I challenge those in positions of authority and influence to move forward with all deliberate speed to meet the demands of the Lebanese people, to restore hope and prosperity to this land of enormous potential with your wonderfully talented people, your entrepreneurship, and boundless potential. In conclusion, I'm pleased to announce this program and to show once again that the United States stands with the people of Lebanon. We are, as we say time and again, in this together. And we will continue our partnership with the Lebanese people and the private sector in order to help put Lebanon back on a path of growth and prosperity, with the political leadership doing its part to right the economy. So again, thank you all for being here today. and for your commitment to help stabilize Lebanon's economy, allowing it to recover and to expand its productive sectors. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your remarks. In 2020, USAID has awarded DAI's 5-year project to enhance economic opportunities in targeted business sectors in Lebanon. DAI is a company that works on the front lines of international development and is committed to shaping a more livable world. DAI has also implemented numerous projects in Lebanon in the past years, having the Trade and Investment Facilitation project as its most recent one. I'm sure you are all excited to hear from TIF's Chief of Party, Mark Rostel, more about the project. But before, here's a small brief about him. Mark is a former banker based in Minneapolis and Chicago, where he structured multi-tranche senior notes for distressed middle market companies in the upper Midwest. Mark is a 20 years DAI corporate employee and 7-time Chief of Party covering Central Asia, the former Soviet Union, and Eastern Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Prior to joining DAI, Mark managed financial institutions throughout the NIS and Eastern Europe. He also served as a Peace Corps volunteer in Mongolia. Mark, we are all ears.
Thank you, Nadine, for your kind introduction, and thank you, Ambassador Shea, for kicking off our project launch today. I'd also like to extend a special thank you to USAID Lebanon Mission Director Devitt. As was mentioned, the USAID Lebanon Trade and Investment Facilitation TIF project is a 5-year, $70 million activity designed to enhance economic opportunities by facilitating trade and investment in targeted business sectors, resulting in job creation and increased income for Lebanese citizens, with a strong emphasis on exports and enhancing women's workforce participation. We're extremely excited about our project launch today, but more so for what happens afterwards, because tomorrow we can officially move forward supporting our Lebanese partners across our 3 objectives. Our 3 objectives include increasing exports of Lebanese goods and services, facilitating investment leading to increased domestic investment, and improving the business and investment enabling environment. We've identified numerous opportunities throughout these objectives that include creating partnership concept notes, supporting new non-traditional funding sources for businesses, raising fresh private capital for companies, and improving the business enabling environment. We spent the past few months organizing and positioning ourselves to unlock TIF's resources because there's no better time than right now and no greater need than right now to deploy USAID assistance. We have a lot to do and a lot of work in front of us, but we can only succeed through partnership. As we move forward together, we'll have to be flexible and opportunistic. If we've learned anything over the past 12 months, it's that the world can quickly change and with unforeseen and far-reaching consequences. After we exit COVID, I look forward to meeting everyone in person and sharing our mutual struggles and successes together. So thank you very much. I look forward to working with everyone, and over to you, Nadine.
Thank you, Mark, for your remarks. Now we have a better idea about the project. TIF Deputy Chief of Party and Technical Officer, Dr. Nadine Shmele, will present the methodology of the project, its key players, partnership criteria, challenges, opportunities, and ways forward. For those who don't know Dr. Shmele, she graduated with a doctorate degree in pharmacy before holding Procter & Gamble and their distributor Transmed in UAE and Lebanon for more than 20 years. Following her successful private sector career, she served in senior role levels on 3 of USAID Lebanon's flagship economic development projects, being the Lebanese Business Linkages Initiative, LIVCD, and LED. Currently, Dr. Shmele holds the position of Deputy Chief of Party, merged with the role of Chief Technical Officer on the DAI TIF activity. Dr. Shmali, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Nadine, and thank you all for attending the Trade and Investment launching event. I'll go now through the technical presentation. It's clear, you can see the slide.
Yes, Nadine, please go ahead.
I will start by presenting TIF methodology, our process at the macro level, policies, regulations, and reforms. At the meso level, we'll go through TIF selected sectors, overview, challenges, and opportunities. While for the micro level, I'll go very brief on this component, as we will be announcing soon a series of workshops and webinars where we will be explaining the partnership in details and how it works. We will not have today a Q&A session, so if you have any questions or remarks, please send them to our email. I'll share the email address at the end of the presentation. Let's start now with TIF methodology. We will be applying a market-led approach and the consultative process in partnership with the private sector. TIF will act mainly as a facilitator at the macro level, policies regulation, at the meso level, the sector level, and at the micro level, enterprise level. Let's start with the macro level, the business and investment enabling environment. We will engage with the private sector actors to assess or address BIEE issues. TIF will start by developing a list of priority reforms, identifying common issues across sectors on policies and regulations. Then we will validate each reform's value and impact through a consultative process with the private sector. By this, TIF will be preparing the field to be ready for implementing the reforms once the macro and political environment will be ready. The outcome is to deliver evidence-based policy analysis and target reforms, build the capacity of ecosystem actors to effectively advocate and implement as well the BIEE reforms. Now, let's go to the meso level, the TIF selected sectors. In the past few months, we have conducted a deep sector analysis along with experts and stakeholders. We will have a brief overview today and will announce to you soon these technical sessions where the expert will be presenting their findings. So please stay connected with us on our social media to be notified about these technical sessions. So let's go now and see TIF selected sectors. They are the agro-food processing, manufacturing, tourism and hospitality, knowledge economy and services. Now we're going to have an overview on the agro-food and the manufacturing sectors. The agro-food sector is an important sector and is the most resilient considering the current context. It has shown resilience over the past years with steady earning and high revenues and stability. It has a substantial employment in rural areas and good opportunities for women employment as well. Manufacturing has tremendous job creation potential. The manufacturing sector relies on knowledge, experience, skills, which create capacity to increase export if conditions are optimized. Despite the current context, the manufacturing and agro-food sectors remain critically important for job creation, export, and import substitutions. Now we're going to go very briefly on a few challenges and opportunities. Other than political instability, COVID-19 challenges, financial and economic crisis, we have some trade agreements that need to be reviewed. A limited market access, a weak marketing and positioning of Lebanese brands, a limited compliance with international standards, somehow a high cost of production, very limited investment in R&D. Opportunities to implement the needed reforms, policies, and regulations to improve competitiveness and export and update selected trade agreements when needed. Facilitate the creation of export support offices if needed, improve compliance of exporting businesses with international standards, build the image of Lebanese brand, promote Lebanon brand, improve productivity at the enterprise level, support the development of R&D to meet international standards. Tourism and hospitality. It was the largest employer in Lebanon. It contributed in 2019 to more than 400,000 jobs. The contribution of the tourism sector to Lebanon economy was substantial. It was valued at 10.5 billion contribution to GDP in 2019, but is currently facing tremendous challenges, not only in Lebanon, but globally as well. But we know, based on history and experience, that the rebound in tourism is quick, and we have to be prepared for the rebound. Tourism is an attractive sector for youth and women employment. Lebanon has a rich natural and cultural heritage, a wide variety of touristic attractions, and offers multiple forms of tourism, including recreational, cultural, religious, rural, and nature-based tourism. Let's go to the main challenges now. Political instability, COVID-19 challenges, financial and economic crisis, the Beirut blast impact on the cultural and nightlife hub of the capital. In addition, we have a limited skilled labor pool and brain drain, absence of DMOs, lack of data and market information, absence of international promotional strategy, absence of categorization, standards, quality control, and certification for some services. Opportunity in the tourism sectors, create an innovative and flexible destination brand for Lebanon based on the new global trends. Create a specialized inbound tourism business association that will push and support the inbound tourism. Build regional clusters. Assist the business associations in improving their resilience toward crisis, focusing on COVID-19 adaptation and financial crisis. Categorize, standardize, and certify rural and alternative tourism services and activities. Now the last one is the knowledge economy and services. It includes many subsectors: the digital content and technology, the ICT, business services, creative and cultural industries such as media, cinema, fashion, art, and education. It has an important potential as well for job creation, potential to achieve immediate results because it does not require extensive foreign currency to operate. The sector benefits from Lebanon's well-educated youth, skilled, and competitively priced labor. It constitutes a significant support to all other sectors in the economy as a major contributor to their growth and modernization. For the challenges in this sector, we have a weak physical infrastructure, a poor legal framework, unfriendly business environment, unstructured capital market, therefore a poor exit opportunities for investors, limited size of the local market, a weak online and payment services, almost inexisting R&D, and a slow adapting education system. The education system in Lebanon is good, but not always meeting the market demand. So opportunities are address the long list of policy reform that were unidentified, create an export office hub, access to international market, build Lebanese digital identity, branding Lebanon, develop an online payment services platform for SMEs, and this is crucial, provide capacity building program for enterprises plus coding factory. Now we're gonna go very quick on the investment major challenges and opportunities. We are all aware about the challenges in the financial and economic sector in Lebanon. We're gonna state very few challenges. The unhealthy financial and business environment, lack of access to finance, lack of trade financing from banks, limitations of available financial instruments to SMEs, constraints in the SMEs working capital. Lebanon is transformed into a cash economy, and this is really not helping the SMEs to grow. Many SMEs are in a difficult financial situation, leading to limiting operation and therefore job losses. What can be done? Opportunities. Many reforms must be implemented or procedures revised within the investment and financial ecosystem of Lebanon. Help the ecosystem to develop solutions to fund SMEs, potentially support pilot initiatives, including financing facilities or fintech or others. Now for the micro level and the partnership. As I mentioned before, it's gonna be very quick. Who are TIF's potential partners? Any private entity could be a partner. Could be clusters, group of enterprise, associations, syndicates, service providers, non-governmental organizations. For the criteria, we will not state all the criteria. I'm going to state only the main one. Be within TIF selected sectors. Commit to invest, produce, and hire in Lebanon. Have an export or import substitution potential. Generate economic impact and development for the community. And present, for sure, a valid business case. Now, for the process, as we mentioned before, we're gonna organize a series of webinars and workshops for the business community to explain the partnership process. We will create a platform for partnership. We will put our resources together with the private sector to develop the sector and relaunch activities and get Lebanon out of this crisis. So please stay connected with us on social media, on LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, Twitter, to know when we will be announcing these webinars and workshops. If you have any questions or remarks, this is our email, tiffinfo@tifproject.com. Thank you all. Now we came to the end. Thank you all for attending this event and looking forward to collaborate with all of you in the near future. Thank you.
With Dr. Nadine Shmali remarks, we would have reached the end of our launching event today. I would like to thank you all for attending this first official launch. But this is not the end, because soon enough, we'll be following up with you with a series of webinars and workshops dedicated to the business community. Those workshops and webinars will aim to explain the methodology of our future collaboration, as well as our action plans to support our productive sectors and place Lebanon again on the international map with its distinguished products, services, and skills. Thank you for attending and looking forward to seeing you again soon.